In this topic, you will learn about the key system settings for a new company, including default and irreversible settings. At the end of this topic, you will be able to describe the default local settings for a new company database. Explain key settings in the company details, general settings, and document settings windows. List the system settings that become irreversible after the first transaction has been posted. Note: this course highlights just a few of the key settings in the company details, general settings, and document settings, and is intended as an overall introduction to configuration settings. Be sure to take time using the demo database to research all of the settings on these windows to see how they affect document processing and functionality in SAP Business One. You need to configure the new company database to meet the customer requirements. The changes will be made in the company details, the general settings and the document settings. To make the right choices, you need to know the effect of a setting and which settings are irreversible. When you create a new company, you initially enter the name of the company and select a localization. Based on the localization, many default settings are applied in the company details. For example, the templates for the chart of accounts are populated according to the localization. You usually have the option to select a predefined chart of accounts or a user-defined chart of accounts which contains only the top drawers. It is often faster to use a predefined charts of accounts and adapt it to the company's needs, rather than creating a chart of accounts from scratch. The local and system currencies are based on the selected chart of accounts. Journal entries are made in the system currency and the system currency is used as the reporting currency. The local currency is used for reporting to a local tax authority. Several default settings, checkboxes, are applied based on the localization, including display credit balance with negative sign. This setting affects the display of credit amounts. It also influences how you enter the opening balances for credit amounts, as positive or negative numbers. Use perpetual inventory. This setting, if selected, causes inventory transactions to also post to the accounting system. Permit more than one document type per series. This setting will be checked if required for the localization. Manage item cost per warehouse. If selected, the system calculates inventory pricing for each individual warehouse. If not selected, inventory pricing is combined for all warehouses. Use purchase accounts posting system. If selected, this activates purchase accounting. The default settings represent common business practices used in the localization. Depending on the chosen localization, there may be additional settings on the company details. Let us look at company setup. On the company details window, you enter general information for the company, accounting information for tax, and basic initialization settings that apply to the entire company. On the Accounting Data tab, you can define holidays. Holidays are used to calculate the resolution time in the service module and to calculate due dates in purchasing and sales documents. You can change holidays at any time. The Basic Initialization tab covers the global configuration settings. Note that some settings become irreversible after postings are made to the general ledger. Some settings are grayed out if they are not applicable for the localization. For example, for the UK localization does not use segmentation accounts. You can access the company details using the path in the slide, and the window is also accessible from the Express Configuration Wizard. The following settings in the company details cannot be reversed after the first transaction is posted and should be carefully planned with the customer. Chart of accounts template. The chart of accounts template can be changed before postings are made, but not after any postings. Local currency. The local currency is the currency in which the company reports to the local tax authorities and cannot be changed after postings are made. System currency. The system currency is the currency in which the company reports to the local tax authorities and cannot be changed after postings are made. Every journal entry is translated automatically into the system currency according to the daily rate. If you do not have any reporting requirements in another currency, set the system currency to the local currency. Note: the default account currency is the default currency for new GL accounts and can be changed. Other settings in the company details that cannot be reversed include: display credit balance with negative sign. This setting influences whether credit amounts are displayed with a minus sign or not. If you enable this checkbox, you will need to enter the credit opening balances of business partners and GL accounts with a negative sign. Use segmentation accounts. Segmentation is used in some localizations to segment account codes by departments, divisions, or other categories. Permit more than one document type per series. If allowed by the localization, this setting allows the customer to use the same document numbering series for more than one type of document, for example, invoices and credit memos. Enable separate net and gross price mode is for selected localizations and becomes irreversible after the first transaction is posted. Use perpetual inventory. This is explained in the logistics courses. There are further checkboxes if perpetual inventory is enabled. Manage item cost per warehouse. This option allows a company to maintain different item costs for each item and warehouse. This checkbox is irreversible after the first inventory transaction is posted. Use purchase accounts posting system. Purchase accounting is a legal requirement in some localizations and so it will be automatically checked. When purchasing documents are issued, the expense is recorded in a separate expense account. This checkbox becomes irreversible after the first journal entry is posted. Note: the Allow Stock Release Without Item Cost checkbox is reversible. This setting allows a company to include items in documents even when item cost has not been determined. Other settings in the company details that become irreversible are: enable fixed assets. If you enable fixed assets, you cannot reverse this setting, even before any transactions have been posted. Install bank statement processing. You can activate it at any time, but once it is activated and transactions have been processed, bank statement processing cannot be deactivated. Enable Intrastat. Once enabled, this setting is irreversible. Mask credit card number. This checkbox may be checked by the localization. Only the last 4 digits of a credit card is exposed. If checked, this cannot be unchecked. Enable Project Management checkbox becomes irreversible after projects are defined. Note: the setting Enable Advanced GL Account Determination is reversible. Settings in the company details to address the customer requirements from the business scenario. The Enable Advanced GL Account Determination checkbox results in additional functions being added to the GL Account Determination window, that allow you to set up criteria for account determination. You can change this. The Fixed Assets checkbox activates fixed assets functionality in documents in SAP Business One. This setting is immediately irreversible even when no documents have been posted. Let's look at general settings. In addition to the company-wide settings, general settings cover a wide range of defaults and initialization parameters for different areas of SAP Business One, including business partners, budget, cost accounting, pricing and inventory, as well as user display and services. Unlike the company details settings, general settings can be changed. Note that some localizations may have additional tabs in the general settings. The BP tab is important for an implementation consultant because here you can switch on credit and commitment limit restrictions for customers and specify the documents which will be monitored. Activate approval processes for marketing documents. See the course topic Approval Processes for more information. Enable data ownership authorizations to apply to documents and forms. See the course topic Data Ownership Authorizations for more details. The ability to activate approval processes and data ownership on this tab gives you the flexibility to create approval templates and data ownership rules in advance and then switch them on when you are ready, using this tab. On this tab you can also set defaults to apply to business partners. These defaults will be used for new master data. For information on these customer defaults, see the Customers course in the SAP Business One Logistics program. If a company wants to manage a budget in SAP Business One, you need to select the checkbox on the Budget tab and select the type of budget restriction for documents that deviate from the budget. On the Cash Flow tab you define global settings for use in cash flow reporting. On the Cost Accounting tab you enable and initialize cost accounting functionality. See the Financials course for more information in these areas. Settings on the Services tab determine which windows are automatically opened when a user logs on, such as the Exchange Rates and Indexes window to set exchange rates for the day. The Confirmation of Recurring Postings and/or Recurring Transactions windows. Post-dated credit vouchers without a reference, and/or post-dated checks. The Messages or Alert Overview window whenever the user receives a new message. Also on this tab you can set Update Messages, the frequency the system checks for new alerts. The default is 5 minutes. The Screen Locking time, the default is 30 minutes. If Windows screen locking is activated, this is not needed. Alternative keyboard usage. The default email service for users, SAP Business One Mailer, or Microsoft Outlook. Note that Microsoft Outlook needs the add-on installed. You can also define the SMTP mail server settings for this company. This is useful if there are multiple company databases on the server. Enable transaction notification. This should be checked to support the use of stored procedures in the database. Enable live collaboration. You can enable the use of SAP Business One instant messaging for the company. Note, many of the settings on this tab can be overwritten in the user account, and a user can change these settings for themselves. So the settings here should be regarded as mainly default settings. Settings on these tabs are used as defaults when a new user account is created. Note, many of the settings on these tables can be overwritten by user defaults and at the individual user account level. On the Display tab are settings that control the appearance of the user interface, as well as time and date formats. UI language. Background color. Standard units for various length and weights for items. SAP Business One proposes these length and weight units automatically when you define a new item. Time format 12-hour or 24-hour. Date format. The sequence here does not affect how you must enter dates in forms. Date separator. The character between the day and month and year. Manage company time. This checkbox is only used when the SAP Business One server is in one time zone and all users are in a different time zone. The maximum number of rows that will be displayed in any list of window. The default UI template for customizing user forms. See the topic UI configuration templates for more information. SAP Business One suggestions for the user as they type in the names of various fields such as item numbers, item descriptions, business partner codes, and business partner names. The number of rows for display in choose from list windows. The number of decimal places displayed for amounts, prices, exchange rates, quantities, percentages, units, and calculated values in queries. Note, for all of the decimal settings, except for calculated values in queries, the following applies. If no journal entry has been posted, you can change the number of decimal places. After a journal entry has been posted, you can only increase the number of decimal places, up to 6 digits. This change is irreversible. On the Font and BKGD tab, you can set font size, and background image for the UI. A preview option is available. On the Path tab you must define the paths to shared folders that the system will use to support various user activities. The folders must be accessible by users. Users need write permissions to the folders. When a user exports a document to a Microsoft Word file, a template is required. Templates are provided in the Word Docs folder of the SAP Business One installation. Similarly, the Excel Docs folder is required for exporting to Microsoft Excel. This folder is also provided in the SAP Business One installation. The Pictures folder is used for stored images. If you do not specify a path for the Pictures folder, users cannot perform certain actions, such as adding images to master data records, printing documents with company logos, and so on. The Attachments folder is used for several purposes, including obviously to attach files to documents, and also when exporting documents as a PDF, and emailing documents to a business partner. The Extensions folder is used for the retrieval of stored secured images, include official stamps, which, due to legal requirements, can only be saved as star.dll files and not as picture formats. If a document scanner is connected to the system, it is automatically detected and the scanner location is stored in this path, allowing scanned documents to be integrated with relevant screens. For example, when you enter an item, you can scan an image directly from the Images tab for a master record. The XML file folder is used by the system when a program such as an add-on generates XML files. The Attachments folder is used widely for a document exported by a user as a PDF. The file is saved in the Attachments folder. When a document is sent in an email, for example in print preferences, you can designate that a document will be automatically emailed when it is added. The document is sent as an email attachment. When a user adds an attachment to a document, activity, business partner, or other form that has an Attachments tab, the file must exist in the Attachments folder. When a user-defined field, UDF, is added with type general and structure link that will hold a link to a file, the file is copied into the Attachments folder. If a company decides in the future to change the path to this folder, the new path can be applied to attachments in existing documents by pressing the Refresh Paths in Documents button located to the right of the Attachments path. Instead of designating one central Attachments folder for all users, you can create subfolders and designate a folder per user or group of users. This is done in the User Defaults window. See the companion course Users and User Defaults for more information. The Hide Functions tab is not used to define settings but is actually a way to easily hide unwanted functionality from the user interface. The functionality is still available, but it is hidden from the user. The areas of functionality you can hide include Budget tab in the General Settings, plus the menu entries for budgets under the Financials module. Payment Wizard menu and payment methods under the Banking module. Dunning Wizard menu under the Sales AR module. Cost Accounting tab in the General Settings plus menu under the Financials module. References to serial and batch numbers under the Inventory module. Production and Resource menus under the Inventory module. MRP module. Units of measure references. Note that some functions cannot be hidden after documents have been posted. For example, you cannot hide serial and batch numbers if items already exist in the database that are managed with serial or batch numbers. Let's look at an example of hide functions. Assume a company does not use the production and MRP functions. They also do not want to run the payment wizard. We can easily remove these functions from the system. Not only are the menus removed from the main menu, but in addition references to the function are removed from various windows and forms throughout the system. For example, the MRP Planning and Production tabs are removed from Item Master Data. Settings on the Inventory, Resources, Cockpit, and Pricing tabs are explained in the logistics courses in this curriculum. Settings in the General Settings to address the customer requirements from the business scenario. Enable Approval Process on the BP tab. Customer credit checking is also enabled on the BP tab. Now let's look at document settings. Key settings that apply to all document types are made on the General tab of the Document Settings. These settings affect the way documents are processed. Gross profit. Define whether to calculate gross profit percentage from the base price or the sales price. Document remarks include. Select whether the remarks on marketing documents include the base document number, or the customer or vendor reference number. Response to release or receipt of inventory outside defined range. Define the system response when the inventory level of an item falls below the minimum quantity as the result of a sales or inventory document. Block negative inventory. Select to block documents that would cause the level of inventory to fall below 0. If you deselect the checkbox, the document will be added even if there is no inventory. Rounding method. select whether the amounts and prices that appear in marketing documents should be rounded by currency or by document. Exchange rate base date, choose the date on which the system calculates the exchange rate for AP documents. Other key settings are: Manage freight in documents, select to add a freight field in all sales and purchasing documents. This lets you calculate additional costs connected to a document. Block documents with earlier posting date and allow future posting date checkboxes. Either block or allow documents by checking the posting date in the document. Display cancelled and cancellation marketing documents in reports, select to include cancelled and cancellation documents in reports. Enable advanced available to promise, select to enable the advanced ADP function, SAP HANA only. Note, most of these settings are reversible and can be changed at any time. The exception is Manage freight in documents. Once you have selected this checkbox, you cannot reverse it after a document has been posted. On the Per Document tab, you can view and change settings for processing individual document types. For example, for sales orders you can enable automatic checks on the available quantities of items. Many of these settings are automatically set according to best practices, but you should check them to make sure they match to the customer's business process. Document settings are covered in more details in the logistics courses. On this tab you can enable the functionality for creating electronic versions of marketing documents. The functionality is available for most localizations but not all. You need to first define the mapping of the marketing document fields to XML format using the Electronic File Manager, EFM, add-on. You can upload a format definition from the EFM as a default format in this window. The electronic documents can be generated automatically when the document is added and are stored in the XML file folder specified in the General Settings on the Path tab. The generated document is transmitted from the XML file folder by the integration framework of SAP Business One. A scenario package is available in the integration framework for electronic transmittal, and you must activate the scenario package for the relevant database. Settings in the document settings to address the customer requirements from the business scenario. Manage freight in documents checkbox becomes irreversible after a document is posted with freight included. Allow future posting date checkbox allows the user to set the posting and document dates to a future date. A warning is given to the user. Allow changes to existing orders checkbox enables the user to change the selected document after it has been added to the system. Activate automatic availability checkbox for the sales order document will check the stock level of items included in a sales order before it is added, and will suggest options to the user if the available quantity is less than the quantity in the sales order. Note, for SAP HANA there is an alternate checkbox on the General tab of the Document Settings, Enable Advanced Available to Promise. If you select this checkbox, the Activate Automatic Availability checkbox on the Per Document tab is deselected. Here are some key points to take away from this session. When you create a new company, you select a localization. Many default settings are based on the selected localization. Key settings for a new company are found in the Company Details, General Settings, and Document Settings screens. Some settings become irreversible after the first posting to the General Ledger. A few of these are shown on the slide.